Play it. First question we'll take from Instagram. It's coming from the Nocturnal Boat. It's SubhanAllah. It's a deep name, huh? Almost behind. MG from Atlanta, Georgia. What is the best way to have khushu' in the prayer while at work? Where one would go from work straight into prayer without being able to clear the mind, read Quran, etc. before the prayer. It's going to take practice. It's going to take mujahadah. You got to fight yourself. You got to train yourself. You got to condition yourself. Even if you could just steal 20 seconds, you pull out your mushaf really quick. Using the miswak really quick. Something to break and to shatter the work salat dynamic. And of course you have to make mujahadah. You got to keep trying and striving. Allah knows best. Hold on.
The Egyptians who built the pyramids, were they Muslim or were they Muslim or were they not Muslim?
The Egyptians who built the pyramids, are they Muslim? Were they Muslim? Well, the first question is, did the Egyptians build the pyramids? Or did other people build the pyramids from other nations? The Hebrews, Israelites, Nubians, etc., etc. And what is an Egyptian? Alright? What's important is, what you mean is, did the Pharaoh people build the pyramids? Allah knows best. There's a great deal of discrepancy in Egyptology with regards to the pyramids, where they came from. Is the same Pharaoh, the Pharaoh mentioned in the Quran, Ramses, etc. There's a great deal of discrepancy with regards to, did slaves build the pyramids? And that's a very important issue, extremely important issue with regards to different people who attack Islam, whether you call themselves Afrocentric or Pan-African, whatever name or title is given, Hebrew, Israelite, Pop, Center, whatever it is, whatever name, they attack Islam and say Islam is, to the black man, no different than what Christianity is to the black man. Christianity is a white man's religion. The Bible is a white man's book. Christianity, religion, was a means of enslaving Africans, suppressing them, wronging them, etc. So henceforth, they got the name Toby, etc., etc. And they say that the Arabs had enslaved the Africans years before the Europeans. And there's no difference between a white man calling a black man Toby and an Arab slave master, white fair-skinned, calling him Abdullah. No difference, right? And they say, this is a very important part of the answer now, pay attention. They say that you can't follow Christianity nor follow Islam. They're both slave religions, both of them. It's a fact. Arabs castrated blacks, white men lynched and they hanged blacks. It's all the same. So you follow an African religion, religion of ancestors. Take pride in the African ancestors, etc., etc., etc. And obviously, to compete with Europe and compete with other nations and other civilizations, they want to need something to be proud of, and something to take honor in, and something to feel a great deal of legacy through. And one of the first things that many of these people do is what? Ancient Egypt and the pyramids. Look at the pyramids today. Look how tall they are. Look how it's a marvel of the world. No doubt about it. Look at the riches, the technology, the advancements. And that Egypt was in where? Africa. The pharaohs, those people were black, etc., 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 etc. Right? No problem. Cool. So the question is, who built the pyramids? Was it the black African Egyptians with their wide noses and thick curly hair, African? Were they out there building the pyramids? Or was it slender people with pointy noses and European features? They knocked the nose off the Sphinx, Napoleon, etc., etc., right? Or are the pyramids a proof and a result of brutal, harsh slave labor? And if the pyramids were built by slaves against their will, if they died in the desert, starved to death, died of thirst, died of exhaustion, were whipped, then obviously that's a major blow to their argument against Islam and Christianity. And of course, we're Muslims, we're talking about Islam. So therefore, you take pride in the pyramids and the Egyptians who had what?
Slaves.
Now where are you going to go? What are you going to do now? You get the point I'm trying to make? So it's a great deal of hypocrisy now. So the pyramids were built by slaves, supposedly, and the Arabs had enslaved, the white people had enslaved, etc. So then what? Your whole argument is false. And then comes the next point. I'm getting specifically to your answer. There are those who say is that the pyramids were not built by slaves. They said that the pyramids were built by the Israelites, the Hebrews, willingly, whether they were paid or not. And it was an honor for them to have a hand in the construction of those pyramids. So, if it were the Israelites, was it during the time of Musa, before, during, after, could lead one to determine and decipher if they were Muslim or not. You get the point I'm trying to make? What's important is, like many things of the past and of history, it's going to be a mystery. Many things is going to be impossible for us to accurately pinpoint and be 100% sure of. That's the point of the long discussion, right? And even if the Israelites or some Egyptians willingly worked on the pyramids, me personally, if I had to bet, quote unquote, I would put my money is that for sure there were many people out there that weren't doing it what? Willingly. That weren't under slave labor. And most things in the world, the marvels of the world, the pyramids of the Incans, the Aztecs, the Mayans, the Great Wall of China, other things of history, the marvels and the wonders of the world, 9 out of 10 of those things were built through slave labor. Read about Russia and the serfs, St. Petersburg. How many of them died? Their hands literally fell off in the freezing winter. Not fingertips, hands, frostbite. Just to build a monument for a great king or a saint. So many people have a great deal of hypocrisy when it comes to slavery in Islam, slavery in the world, okay? And they don't realize that the museum that you're visiting, the food that you're eating, the products, etc., the culture is all a result of what? Slavery. Black, white, yellow, green, and purple. So, yeah, I mean, that's just another inconvenient reality of history. You can't study history looking for convenience. So, were they Muslim? I don't know. I can't say. Allahu Alam. It's a possibility. Okay, were they the followers of Musa alayhi salatu wasalam? How many people still remained upon the teachings of Musa alayhi salatu wasalam? How long ago it was between Musa, etc., etc., etc. It's a possibility. Allahu Alam. What's important is that it's a tremendous feat of human engineering. That's no doubt about that. And there are many unanswered questions about those pyramids. Wallahu Alam.
Initials BF, Queens, New York. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. I have the opportunity to send my kid to a French school. We are culturally French and we are visibly Muslim. Should I send my kid knowing they're oppressive towards Muslims, or should I see it as an opportunity for da'wah?
Sending your child to a French school and you yourself have French culture, they're oppressive towards Muslims, so on and so forth, or is it an opportunity to give da'wah? Well, it depends on what's meant by oppression and oppressive, right? It depends. There's oppression wherever you go. We live here as Americans. It's oppression. Being a Muslim, being a black Muslim, being this, being this. That doesn't, just because there's some type of good, it doesn't negate the outweighing good. Nor does it negate the good opportunity that you may have. So you have to weigh the pros and the cons. As far as a good opportunity to give da'wah, your child going there, being a strong Muslim, succeeding, setting a good example, etc. Perhaps some people will become guided, or perhaps you'll dim some of the lights of stereotypes, maybe. But in general, إِنَّ الَّذِينَ كَفَرُوا سَوَاءٌ عَلَيْهِمْ, Allah tells us, those who disbelieve, whether you warn them not, they're not going to believe in general. So don't send your son to a school sacrificing your son's or your daughter's safety or honor or deen to give da'wah to someone, right? And like I said, it all depends on the situation. Wallahu a'lam.
Initials YSLM UK. Is wudu required for the sajda recitation? Do clothing to be applied here? Also, how is the sajda done?
Say the question again, please.
Initial YS then UK. Is wudu required for the sajda of recitation? Do the clothes need to be tahir? Also, how is the sajda done?
Is wudu required for the sajda of recitation? Do the clothes have to be pure? And how is the sajda done? Well, if you're reciting the Quran, then it's best to have wudu. It's not necessarily mandatory to have wudu according to all of the ulama, but you should be upon a state of tahara. But let's say you're not, and you come across a verse in which it's recommended to make the sujood. Make the sujood. Make the sujood without the wudu. Best to have the wudu, that's a fact. And the same applies to the clothes being clean. Right? And obviously that's an argument, well, what state would a Muslim be in with filthy clothes reciting the Quran? Allah, holding a baby's diaper, a woman on a menstruation, a man, whatever the case may be. Try your best to have clean clothes. However, if you're reciting the Quran, the sajda comes, and you want to make the sajda, make the sajda. As far as how it's done, the scholars, they have different details on it. Do you have to face the qibla? Do you make a takbir? Do you come back outside and so on and so forth? Well, of course, it's best to face the qibla, right? And inshallah ta'ala, it's best, safest to make a takbir, to go into it. And then you come back out and that's it. No salam, no nothing, no tashahhud. Wallahu a'lam.
Initial RA from Boston, Massachusetts. If I wake up late for Fajr, can I pray the Fajr Sunnah or just a two-fard or Fajr?
If you oversleep for Salat al-Fajr, can you make the Sunnah for Fajr? Yes, you can. But if the prayer is still in, there are only a few minutes left before the sun rises, make the Fajr first. But if you oversleep, totally oversleep, the sun is up, it's past the time, etc., you make the two Sunnahs first, because you normally make the Sunnahs of Fajr. Khayr, la ba's, inshallah. Nothing wrong with that, hopefully. Wallahu a'lam.
Initially, UF, Alberta, Canada. Assalamu alaikum, Shaykh. What advice can you give to someone who's afraid of monetary success? They're afraid that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is giving them this world and not the next.
Person who's afraid of monetary success, they're scared that Allah is giving them this world and not the next. Well, it's not mandatory for you to take the money or take the success. You can relinquish it if you don't want it or you're scared. You don't have to take it. You can say, I won't take this job, I won't take this contract, no problem. Your parents send you to a very expensive school, you say, no thank you, I don't want to study there, I'm fine. No one's forcing you to do that. Secondly, just because Allah gives you the dunya, it doesn't mean that Allah hates you or Allah is displeased with you. Allah gives the dunya to those whom He loves as well. Of course, He gives the dunya to those whom He hates and curses and abhors among the kafirin and the munafiqeen and the mushrikeen and the fasiqeen. However, it doesn't mean that just because a person is righteous, Allah will not give that person some dunya. And there are many verses in the Quran and prophetic hadith that speak on the dominion of Allah, the bounty of Allah, the fadl of Allah, and how Allah gives it to whom He wills. And from among those whom He has given it to, or given some of it to, and He will, are righteous. So it doesn't, whatever verse that you mention about your tayyibat, being hastened for you, then there are other hadiths in which the tayyibats are also given to the Prophet and the Sahaba, and there are many great battles that the Muslims won, etc., etc. Wallahu ta'ala alam.
Initials HA Philippi. Assalamu alaikum Mufti. If one curses the companions, are they a kafir?
Cursing the Sahabi, are you a kafir? May Allah protect us from that. I would say in general, no. Cursing all of the Sahaba, cursing the best from among them, Sabiqeen al-Awwaleen, Muhajirin, Ansar, clear problem. Denial of the Quran, Allah clearly mentions radiallahu anhu, alright, etc. Cursing one companion, of course, is evil, it's ugly, it should not be done, it's inappropriate, it's haram, it's disobedience to Allah, but it doesn't necessarily necessitate kufr akbar. Wallahu alam.
Initials SD Palembang, Indonesia. Is it possible for that an angel come in form of a human in these days?
Question is coming from Indonesia. Is it possible for an angel to come in human form during these days? Allahu Akbar. I don't know of anything from Quran and Sunnah that restricts the coming of angels taking forms to the time of the Prophet. A verse or hadith is saying that's only for their time. Allahu Akbar. Claiming that, saying I saw this, that's dangerous, of course. But Allah does what He wants to do when He wants to do. Maybe. Allahu Akbar. Questions coming from Long Island, and this was an AH. Assalamu alaikum Sheikh, with all the content you have on YouTube, in what order should one study in? Wa alaikum salam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. I would advise you to look towards the playlist for seeking knowledge, with regards to learning how to read, how to memorize, how to understand. For the hadith on seeking knowledge. Usul al-Thalath, the 3 fundamental principles of Islam, beginner's fiqh, what happened that? Tafsir of Juz Abu was done by our brother, Ustad Samad, may Allah bless him, like this. Wallahu a'lam.
Initials WO, Ontario, Canada, Toronto, Ontario. Do we have to repeat the morning/evening dhikrs, which were already said during the Fard prayer adhkar? For example, the Ayatul Kursi, the close 3 times, etc.
When it's time to make the adhkar, you make the adhkar, regardless of what you did in the prayer. Even though you may pray, you may not recite Surah Baqarah or the 3 calls. Wallahu a'lam.
Oh, you're saying after the Fard prayer.
After the Fard prayer. Whatever the hadith tells you to do. The Prophet said, whoever says this at this time, that's what you say, regardless of what you read in the prayer. Wallahu a'lam.
Initials IR, Detroit, Michigan. My father passed away and he was very sick and couldn't fast years of Ramadan. Does his missed Ramadan have to be fasted by family members?
Father was sick and he missed many years out of Ramadan. The fast has to be made up by the family members, not necessarily. Inshallah, if he's still alive, you feed for every day that he missed the poor Muslim, if you can, inshallah ta'ala. And if he's dead, do the same as well. If somebody wants to fast for him, to be safe, scholars of Islam, they differ on what's meant by the hadith, man mata wa alayhi sawmun sama anhu waliyuhu. Whoever dies and is missed fast, then his wali, his heir, his guardian, and family member, fast for him. There's a long discussion on what's meant by that hadith. Wallahu a'lam. Inshallah, we'll stop here tonight. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala should knows best. Please don't forget about jinn possession, in light of the Quran and Sunnah, part 2, the 26th of August, last Thursday at 9:30 p.m. Also, our upcoming courses on Ulum al-Quran. And Jazakumullah khairan for the brothers and sisters who support the channel, those who purchase badges on Instagram, those who donate, GoFundMe, Patreon, and all other social media outlets. May Allah bless you all.